You're in a meeting, camera on, nodding along. At the same time you're texting a friend back, half reading an email, and somewhere in your head you're already planning dinner. You feel productive, efficient, like you're getting 3 things done at once. But here's what's actually going on. Your brain isn't doing 3 things at once. It's not doing 2 things at once. It's doing one thing, then another thing, then switching back, over and over, so fast it feels seamless. That feeling of multitasking? It's an illusion your own mind is generating. Let's slow it down. Your brain has something researchers call an attention bottleneck. Think of it like a single door in a busy building. No matter how many people want to walk through, they can only go one at a time. MIT neuroscientist Earl Miller has studied this bottleneck for years, and his research points to a simple, almost uncomfortable truth. Your brain has one channel for focused attention. Not 2. Not 3. 1. That's strange when you think about it, because your brain runs an enormous amount of activity at once. Your heart rate, your breathing, your digestion, your balance, all humming along in parallel without a single conscious thought from you. So why can't it add reading an email to that list? Because conscious, goal-directed thinking works on a completely different system than those automatic background processes. It's less like a factory with 1,000 workers, and more like a single supervisor who can only stand in one room at a time. So when you think you're texting and listening at the same time, what's really happening is your brain is sprinting back and forth through that one door. Listen. Switch. Read a text. Switch. Listen again. Switch. It's not multitasking. It's task switching. And switching has a cost. Every time your brain jumps from one task to another, it has to unload the mental setup for the first task and load up a new one. Think of it like your mind keeping a small workspace open for each task, full of rules, goals, and context. Closing one workspace and opening another isn't free. It takes time. It takes energy. And it happens every single time you change lanes, whether you notice it or not. Researcher David Meyer at the University of Michigan spent decades studying this exact process. His work found that this switching isn't instant. There's a lag, a tiny cognitive traffic jam every single time you change lanes. Meyer's experiments showed that even simple switches, like moving between 2 basic tasks, could cost up to 40% of someone's productive time. 40%. Not lost to laziness. Lost to the mechanics of switching itself. That lag has a name, attention residue. Part of your mind stays stuck on the last task even after you've moved to the next one. So when you switch from the email back to the meeting, a piece of your attention is still finishing that email. You're never fully anywhere. Feel like your focus is a little foggy after switching between 15 tabs. That's not you being lazy. That's attention residue, piling up, tab after tab, task after task, each one leaving a little residue behind. Here's where it gets stranger. You'd think the people who multitask constantly would get good at it. Practice makes perfect, right? Years of juggling texts and tabs and conversations should sharpen the skill, the same way practicing piano sharpens your fingers. Wait for it. A study out of Stanford, led by researcher Clifford Nass, tested people who considered themselves heavy multitaskers against people who rarely juggled tasks. The heavy multitaskers didn't win. They lost. Across the board. They were worse at filtering out irrelevant information, worse at switching between tasks efficiently, and worse at holding information in short-term memory. Nass and his team ran the self-identified multitaskers through test after test, expecting to find their hidden advantage. They never found one. Instead, every measure pointed the same direction. The people who thought they were the best at multitasking were, measurably, the worst at it. That's the twist. Multitasking doesn't train your brain to multitask. It trains your brain to be worse at focusing, period. The more you practice switching, the easier switching becomes, and the harder sustained focus gets. You're not building a skill. You're building a habit that works against you, one buzz and glance at a time. So what is your brain actually capable of running at the same time? Because there is one category of tasks it can genuinely handle in parallel: automatic tasks. Things you've done so many times they don't need conscious attention anymore. Walking, breathing, humming a tune you've known for years. Your brain has moved those into autopilot, freeing up that single attention channel for something else. That's why you can walk and talk at the same time without a problem. Walking isn't competing for the door. It's already through it, running quietly in the background on its own track. This is also why a new driver can't hold a conversation while parallel parking, but an experienced driver barely notices they're doing it. Practice doesn't give you a second door. It moves the task off the conscious channel entirely, onto autopilot, freeing the one door back up. But the second a task requires actual thinking, actual decision-making, actual focus, it needs that one channel all to itself. And that's where the real-world cost shows up. Think about driving while glancing at a text. Your brain isn't splitting attention evenly between the road and the phone. It's rapidly slamming the door on one and opening it for the other. For a fraction of a second, while you read those few words, the road gets almost nothing. That's not a small gap. At highway speed, that's dozens of feet traveled with a fraction of your attention on the wheel. Enough distance to miss a brake light. Enough distance to miss a lot. Or think about studying with notifications going off every few minutes. Every buzz pulls your attention through that one door. And even after you silence it and go back to your notes, some of your focus is still lingering on whoever just texted you. You're rereading the same paragraph 3 times, not because it's hard, but because part of your mind never came back. The words are in front of your eyes, but the door is still swinging on its hinges from the last switch. This shows up at work too. Open-plan offices, constant Slack pings, emails arriving mid-thought. Each interruption doesn't just cost the few seconds it takes to read it. It costs the ramp-up time to get back to where you were, plus whatever residue lingers from the interruption itself. Multiply that by dozens of interruptions a day, and you get hours of lost depth, even on days that felt busy from start to finish. You leave the office exhausted, having touched 50 things and finished almost none of them. There's a cost to the switch itself, too. Every time your brain reroutes attention, it burns a small amount of mental energy on the reroute alone, separate from the energy spent on the task. That's part of why a day full of shallow, scattered work can leave you more drained than a day spent on one hard, focused task for the same number of hours. It's not the difficulty wearing you out. It's the door opening and closing over and over. This is why productive multitasking often produces the opposite. More time spent. More mistakes made. More mental fatigue at the end of the day, even though it felt like you were moving fast the whole time. Speed and progress feel similar in the moment. They are not the same thing. So what do you actually do with this? You protect the single-channel focus you have. Batch the small stuff. Answer texts in one block instead of scattering them across your whole day. Turn off notifications during anything that actually requires the door. Let automatic tasks stay automatic, and give real thinking tasks the full, undivided door they need to move through cleanly. Even short blocks of true single tasking, 15 or 20 minutes with nothing else competing for the door, tend to produce more usable output than an hour of scattered switching. Because your brain was never built to run 2 spotlights at once. It was built to move one spotlight fast and convince you it never moved at all. That illusion is powerful enough to fool the very mind producing it. So next time you're in that meeting, texting, half listening, planning dinner in your head, remember what's actually happening behind the scenes. There's no juggling act. There's just one door, opening and closing, faster than you can notice, quietly taking a small cut of your focus every single time. The question isn't how to do more things at once. It's which one deserves the door right now.